What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Prince. And as you can see, we're now moving on to my vinyl copy of Purple Rain, which has been waiting in the wings for a while. Once again, shout out to Stan and Chris, who have sent Prince material we've gone through previously. Now, I did a little searching when I unearthed this in my vinyl collection, which, just for context, I've talked about this over the years. My techno and punk vinyl collection has always been meticulously cared for and inventoried, but I also inherited a lot of vinyl over the years, going back to when I had just first got my turntables as a teenager, and then years later my sister gave me a bunch of vinyl, and other people have donated parts of their collections in the decades since, and not all of that vinyl did I thoroughly check and go through initially, and when I started to do reactions, it was like, you know what, I'm going to go through some of my non-techno vinyl and see what's in there, and I found Duran Duran and some Depeche Mode records and some records that I was like, whoa, I didn't even realize I have this, and this was one of those records. Now, at the time, I knew only Prince by reputation, really, one or two songs, one of them being on here, When Doves Cry. That probably won't surprise people, and I think I've mentioned it before. And indeed, what I found out when I did a little digging online is that there's two different versions of this album, and the initial release in '83 did not include When Doves Cry, but it's definitely on this record, so I believe this is the March '84 version of this album, which is a soundtrack to a film, which I've never seen. Again, I've been aware of the film for a long time, but I've never actually seen it. In any case, I'm excited to go through this, and ultimately especially looking forward to When Doves Cry, because that is a track that I've heard multiple times over the years and I find very catchy and groovy, so looking forward to that. But as far as I know, none of the other tunes on here I'm familiar with, so we'll just go through it from beginning to end. Ultimately, it begins with a track called Let's Go Crazy. So it's a directive, it's a request, a plea, an entreaty perhaps best, maybe a command, but yeah, the idea of going crazy typically means let's have fun, let's party, let's forget our inhibitions, let's let it all hang out, let's be loose and just enjoy ourselves, and in a way that is perhaps particularly revelrous or even Epicurean or perhaps even more hedonistic. So I would expect, given what I've learned from going through other Prince tunes, that this would be in the realm of partying and having fun and ultimately, maybe finding contacts, whether intimate or otherwise. So yeah, that's what I would expect it to be about. I do have to point out also that on this inner sleeve, there aren't actually lyrics, but they put a reflected picture of water and then use small dark purple print. I think even under a flashlight it would be hard for me to read this, so I'm not going to struggle and waste a bunch of people's time by wait, what does that say? What does that say? So I'll look forward to hearing what people have to say after, and I'll try to catch what I can in the moment, but yeah, the print is way too small and difficultly colored to pick up. So in any case, let's hear the opening tune on the record. This is Let's Go Crazy by Prince on the 1984 version of his Purple Rain soundtrack record. Oh, there's a big fluff ball on the side of the record, which is never a good thing. Let me just snag that off of there. Okay. So as I said, Let's Go Crazy by Prince on Purple Rain. Is it a 45 or is it 33? That almost sounds like it should be on 45. Nope, 33. And obviously, again, we got some surface noise. I do apologize.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life.
I've heard that line
referenced.
referenced.
Word life, it means forever, and that's a mighty long time. But I'm here to tell you, there's something else. The afterworld. A world of never-ending happiness. You can always see the sun, day or night. So when you call up that shrink in Beverly Hills, you know the one, doctor, everything will be alright. Instead of asking mama to your time, ask how much of your mind, baby. 'Cause in this life, things are much harder than the afterworld. This life, you're on your own. And if the elevator tries to break you down, go crazy, punch a higher floor.
heard this somewhere? It does sound a little
Don't
familiar.
lie, what you living in? Take a look around, at least you got friends. I call my old lady for a friendly word. She picked up the phone, dropped it on the floor. It's all I heard. I'm gonna let the elevator break us down. Oh no, let's go crazy. Let's get nuts. Let's look for the purple man until they put us in trouble. Let's go. Excited, don't know why. Maybe it's 'cause all gonna die. When we do, what's it all for? Better live now, before the people come out. You know you tell me. Gonna let the elevator bring us down. Oh no, let's go crazy. Let's get nuts. Look for the purple man until they put us in trouble. Let's go. Come on, baby. Let's get nuts. Yeah. Let's go crazy. Gonna let the elevator break us down. Oh no, let's go crazy. I said let's go crazy. Let's go. Everything will be alright. Make everything go wrong. Feeling without the feeling. Doctor, he's coming.
Oof. That's the kind of finale that you normally get from live performances, not studio tracks. So crazy is my response. Number one, it does feel a bit earlier 80s than some of the stuff I've reacted to from him. Like, the vocal style was different, the arrangement was different, but in terms of having this mixture of like almost new wave energy meets like funk rock, it reminded me a little bit of something like an edgier version of like a Go-Go's track or something, because again it had that like new wave energy but with heavier guitar work, bluesy guitar work, and just Prince's persona like all over it. But yeah, something about the rhythm reminded me of like an early 80s new wave track. In any case, definitely a faster sound than I expected going into it, given that a lot of his stuff has had this more syncopated, slower, funky type of percussion rhythm. So I was immediately surprised by and enjoying the pace, the tempo of the tune. Definitely the intense overlapping vocals give it a bacchanal, like party, we're all just going wild sort of feel to it. I didn't catch a whole number of lines. Obviously there's that opening bit, the sort of spoken bit about, you know, we've gathered here today to get through this thing called life or whatever it was, which, you know, playing off of like a marriage ceremony type of speech, or I forget what the right word would be. Nevertheless, it had this sort of meta reality to it at the beginning and even a little bit at the end. And then, as I said, the bluesy guitar in particular and sort of the solo section, but then right at the end when it seems like it's ending and then it just really goes into a wicked riff, brings everything back for one more upwardly cascading crescendo and then finally finishes. So great guitar work, definitely some cool keyboard / organ sounds like in conjunction with the guitar. And yeah, ultimately there were a couple moments, especially early on, where it's like, man, that opening line. I've heard people make jokes about that line, and I at the time it was just like I thought like a funny joke. I watched like riffs. I make riffs too, but I have watched riffs for a long time. There was a riff I saw many years ago where someone made reference to that line, and it just sounded like a funny line to me. But now I'm realizing, oh shoot, like that was actually a Prince reference. I didn't realize. But yes, ultimately, a couple moments in the first minute or two, it's like, wait a minute, like, I may have caught 20 seconds of this on a radio somewhere when I was younger, so I feel like maybe I heard part of it or heard the whole thing, but, it was when I was a young kid and it didn't really stick, and so years later, it triggers some distant chord, but not enough to make me fully remember the tune. Nevertheless, I did enjoy it, and it's very different, for example, than When Doves Cry. Now, obviously, you do a soundtrack album, you're probably going to get some different flavors along the way, because it's, a movie will have different parts with more tension and suspense, or less so with heavier emotional content, or less so with, a montage in mind, or with, a background music type of atmosphere. So I wasn't expecting all the tunes to have the same sound as When Doves Cry, and again, knowing that track wasn't even on the original version of the record, nevertheless, it was more different than I expected, it was faster than I expected, it was wilder than I expected, even given the title of the track. So, yeah, cool opener. The next time we come back, again, even the writing on the back, you see how, like, there's all these, like, flowers, it's like, I feel like they made it as hard as possible to read. Oh, take me with you, did I... Because it has the U spelling with just the letter U, it's making me think of a lot of other tracks of his that have that almost like text message style phrasing. In the moment, I don't think I would have reacted to this unless it was one of the ones on Stan's compilation, and I'm probably conflating it with another tune, but yeah, either way, I'll figure out if I've reacted to that, and then I'll make sure that I do the next tune that I haven't heard, even if it means skipping over that. So, yeah, in fact, I think I have my YouTube studio out. Why don't I just check so that we can make sure in the video here and people don't need to worry. No, it doesn't look like I've reacted to it. So yes. Okay, so yeah, I don't think I've reacted to that, so that will be the next one. Do let me know what you think of this opening tune and or the album overall. Once again, shout out to both Stan and Chris for sharing previous Prince material, as well as Tracy and all the others who've been commenting on the previous reactions. Let me know what you think. I will see you next time. Peace.